flip-flop movie that you were talking about, she says, oh wait, that flip-flop movie that we saw a couple of years ago, it's 15 years ago we saw that. that was actually, yeah, I remember that, it was 15 years ago. I know exactly the date. So it's a funny time, a couple of years ago. Yeah. So Mark Twain said, I love what he said, he says, the two most important days in your life, you know what they are? The day you were born, and the day you find out why. The day you find out why. Someone talk about that for a minute. The day you find out why you were born. I feel like that's for me. I've spent my life, I've been this mini philosopher forever, just trying to ponder, why we're here. What's my life about, reading and what's God? What's before God? What's after? What's it all about, Alfie? And, honestly, that's been my whole journey. And, I've kind of come to this idea, this whole idea that what it's meant to be is that each of us are just meant to be so present, to live fully in our life we were given, right? To live it fully, to live it deeply, to know who we are, to be so transparent that finally the little me of who we think we are drops, and we find out that we're so connected with each other, that there is way more, that all this work that we're doing to ourselves is all important. We need to check our ego, we need to do all of the spiritual practices, but eventually all of that melts away, and then it's about us. And that's what this talk is more about than anything. It's about participating in the change of being able to know that we are so connected with each other, and that we are so connected with the world, that every little blade of grass is part of who we are. And I think that's why we're here, is to know this, is to know that we are more than our ego self, that we are so incredible, that we are these magical, incredible, powerful beings that can change the world and can bring peace to us. And I think if I ask anybody, everybody will have a different answer of what, why their life is important or why. But for me, that's what it's about. It's about dropping it all and being able to serve and be there, to go so deeply into every experience. And whatever experience and whatever change is happening in your life, it's for you. It's for you to be able to get to that place of power, of peace, of love that we talked about. And then it's about bringing that divine self to every experience. To every experience, every person, to being the big self in the world, to discovering that divine person and bringing that to the world instead of our ego self. And when that happens, see, our outer purpose is then revealed. Does that make sense? Instead of going at it, a lot of times I've been to workshops where we've had, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And everybody tries to find out what their purpose in life is. But the truth is, Eckhart Tolle says it, that our purpose really is the same. It's knowing this incredible divine being that we are, knowing it. And then when we know it, when we finally know it, it's revealed what we're to do on the outer level. It outpictures itself. So we don't go at it backwards. We go at it from here, knowing this divine, incredible self. And then pretty soon, your life starts to unfold, and you find yourself where you're supposed to be. Boy, I know that's so true. I believe it. And I know you do too. We don't go around, with, how many workshops have I gone to, and what are my gifts? I don't have any gifts. Everybody else has got these spiritual gifts. I don't have gifts. I remember thinking that. And finally, when it just got to be about prayer, about meditation, about knowing this oneness, the gifts started to come when I knew who I was. And so that, to me, is the meaning. That's the meaning. It's about transforming, bless you, transforming our lives. That's what it's about. It's about knowing, it's about taking the fears that we have. Judy talked about those, about the fears that we have and being able to see them and greet them and bring them on. And bring them on and say, let me move through this fear so that I can come out the other end and be a better person, so I can be a better person in this world, not just for me, but to change the world, to bring the energy of fear and hurt to an energy of peace and love, and this well-being that we all want so much. It's seeing that. See, we are participating in our own evolution. We are participating, but here's the question. Are we struggling with it, or are we going with it? You have to ask yourself that. Am I struggling with my evolution, Or am I going with it? And your answer is going to be revealed by how you accept changes in your life. Right? You're struggling against your own growth if you're resisting all the changes that are going. But the moment you bring the change on and say, okay, we can go with it, you're facilitating your evolution and that of the world's. Because we're part of that. We're evolving and we're changing. And we change in two ways. Judy says it all the time. We change with invitation or without invitation, right? Right. So we either get to choose that we evolve, right? That we choose consciously, or we go kicking. You know, we go kicking. These changes happen uninvited all the time. We talk about it. It's called the cosmic boot, by the way. A big cosmic boot, and it kicks you, right? You know, it does. That's what happens. Because the truth is that life, God, you know, the universe, what it does is it's evolving, and it wants us to evolve too. I really know that. I believe that. And if you're not evolving, it kicks you, gives you a little boot, and creates change in your life, so you have to do it. So I say it's a little gentler if you choose change yourself, because I've done it both ways. I've chosen change, and boy, I've chosen not to change, and that cosmic boot has booted me right someplace I didn't think I ever wanted to be. But after I look back on my life, I'm going, wow, thank you, God. You know, it was worth it. How many? I bet you all have a story about that. You know, I think about my first marriage. That's probably the first one. I'm going, oh my God, you know what? Let me tell you something. This is kind of interesting, because at the time when this divorce happened 25 years ago, you know, I thought I was happy, but I on the surface, but inside I knew something was up, right? I knew something wasn't right. I wasn't totally, you know, connected to my marriage. And of course, it wasn't me who asked for the divorce. I got the cosmic boot, and he came and asked for the divorce and threw me into a tailspin. But guess what? It was the best thing that ever happened. Today, we're best friends again. You know, and wow, without that divorce, all this wouldn't have happened. Everything wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have moved. Everything changes. You know, so there has to come a time when you know that you have to change, but it's too hard. You know that. It's hard, but you've got to make some decisions. How do you know? How do you know when you need to change your life? Because sometimes your life's just too comfortable in a way. It's uncomfortable, but it's better than the change you think. Okay, here's what I was thinking, that when we are tired more than we are energized, when we are negative more than we're positive in our life, there's got to be a change. If we're negative every day, there's got to be a change there. When we're miserable more than we're happy, we got to change. When we're bored more than we're interested in life, there's got to be a change. See? And when your life is all about you and it's never about caring about someone else, there's got to be a change. And for me, when I hear an inner voice, there's got to be a change. When you hear, sometimes we have that inner knowing, you need to do this. And this has to be done. And we don't listen. We don't listen. We grow too comfortable. See, we cannot be who we are unless we allow this change to happen in our life. You can't be this transformational, incredible being unless you allow change to change you. Because that's what's happening. God is changing us. That sounds like a fundamentalist, doesn't it? As I said, that God is changing you, but that's a truth. That's a truth that's transforming us to something incredibly big. It's allowing change. Allowing inner change. See, when I'm talking about changing sometimes, I didn't mean that I had to jump out of my divorce before he divorced me. That's not what I meant. What I meant is I had to interchange the way I felt about it. You know, it can go either way. Sometimes you have to make a move on the outer, and sometimes you have to just make a shift in the way that you're feeling inside. Because the truth is that this whole thing is about an awakening of consciousness, not just for us, but for the world. The world. Because everybody says, all of the futurists are saying that we are in this right now, this shift, that this change that will be the next evolutionary step for mankind. And the truth is, until we get our connection back, our planet will never get the same again either. We've become this me culture. And now with this shift, we have the opportunity to step into a culture that is about all of us, that is about we. I put this picture up of the eagle and the condor. because it's about the Mayan prophecy. And all of the traditions have these prophecies. It's about this shift in energy that is happening. And I like this one. This is the eagle and the condor. It's an ancient Amazon prophecy that speaks of human societies that have split into two paths, kind of the path of the eagle and the path of the condor. And the path of the condor is the path of the heart and the intuition and kind of the feminine path, right? And the path of the eagle is the path of the mind and the intellect, and it's the strong and masculine path. And the prophecy says that from the 1490s that we would begin a 500-year period which the eagle energy would become so powerful that they would virtually drive the condor energy away and out of existence. And we start to see this when we look at the conquering of the Americas and all the things that have happened that have led up to this next 500 years, all of the oppression of the indigenous people. And then it says in the next 500 years, the prophecy says, which is now, this is the shift of energy that began in 1990, these are from different traditions, The potential would arise for the eagle and the condor to come together, to fly in the same sky and to create a new level of consciousness for humanity. And I think that we're in this energy right now, because we're in this shift, and that's what they're saying is that everybody that's here, specifically, everybody that's born in this time frame was born for this reason, was born to facilitate this new being, to facilitate peace in the world. That's why you're here. That's why we're here at this time. And this is what the prophecies say, is that we will be a new offspring, that when the eagle and the condor fly together, there will be a new offspring that will save the earth. Now, they said that the prophecy only speaks of the potential. So it's up to us to activate the potential for the world. And I believe that with all my heart, that each of us are here for something bigger than us. We're here to look at ourselves, to move beyond our ego, to move beyond this me, to the we, to look at each other with compassion. See, it's up to us to participate in our own change and in the change of the world, to be able to see the divine in everything. The namaste, everybody knows pretty much here what that means, but it means, in India, it's a Sanskrit, it's that not only a greeting of hello, but it's I see the divine in you, and I see it in me, and more, I see it in the world. I see it in everything that exists, because everything that exists is part of the divine thought. Everything is part of the divine energy. There is nothing that is not. So this is huge. When we can really drop to that place in our heart where we see that, everything changes. Everything changes. Kindness to all, compassion. I bow to the divinity in you, and I bow to the divinity in me, and to the divinity in all of us. Each of us can do that by being compassionate, by being kind in your everyday life. It just starts with doing the right thing, just doing the right thing. Remember that. I'm going to close with a little story of an Indian story. It's in Martin Nicole's book, Awakens, and he tells about a little quiet man, and he's sitting by the Ganges River, and he's praying, and he sees this poisonous spider, and he takes the spider out, and he puts it on the ground, and as he does, the spider stings him. So he goes back the next day, and he's praying by the river, and he sees the same spider, and the spider is struggling, and he takes the spider out, and he puts the spider on the bank, and the spider stings him. For the third time, the same thing happens, and the spider looks at him, and he says, "Why do you keep lifting me? Can't you see that I will sting you every time?" And the man said, "Because that is what I do." And I think that is what we do. We lift each other, even when we get stung, don't we? We lift each other. We care about each other. We're kind. We're compassionate. That's the kind of world that I want to live in, and I know that's the kind of world that you want to live in. That's who we are. That's what we do. And that's my deepest prayer for all of us, is that we consciously choose, that we participate in our own evolution, and that we drop to our heart and love. Thank you.